There is a woman you pass sometimes, in a restaurant, at church, in the lobby of a building downtown, and something about her stops you. It is not her age. It is not her outfit, though that is usually impeccable. It is her hair, silver, settled, moving the way hair is supposed to move when a woman has finally stopped fighting it. She did not get there by accident. She got there by learning what her hair actually needed after 50. And somewhere along the way, she stopped doing 5 things that most of us are still doing every single morning without realizing it. One of those things is hiding in your shower routine right now. One of them happens before you even pick up a product, and at least one of them you have been doing for so long, it feels like just the way your hair is. It is not the way your hair is. It is the way your hair has been responding to habits that were never designed for this season of your life. Stay with me through this video, because by the time we are done, you are going to see your hair differently. And more importantly, you are going to know exactly where to begin. Let us start where most conversations about thinning hair refuse to go, the biology. Because here is what I need you to understand. When your hair starts to thin after 50, it is not a failure. It is not a flaw in your routine. It is your body responding to a real hormonal shift. And the moment you understand what is actually happening, the path forward becomes completely clear. When estrogen levels fall, the follicles themselves shrink. Each new strand grows back narrower than the one before it, with less tensile strength and a thinner protective coating on the outside of the shaft. Your scalp also produces less natural oil during this time, which means every strand is more exposed, more vulnerable to heat, to friction, to the weight of anything you put on top of it. Now, for women with melanin-rich skin, there is an additional layer to this conversation that rarely gets addressed. Our hair textures, whether naturally coily, wavy, or in a relaxed or protective style, respond to hormonal shifts differently than fine, straight hair does. The shrinkage may be less visually obvious at first, but the internal changes are just as real. Moisture loss accelerates, breakage at the crown becomes more frequent. Silver and gray strands, which have lost their melanin pigment, are uniquely vulnerable to UV damage, dryness, and thermal stress. They can feel wiry one day and completely limp the next. That is not random. That is biology speaking. What the research makes clear is this: the right cut, the right technique, and the right ingredients can work with this biology. The women carrying their silver beautifully are not lucky, they are informed, and that's exactly what we are doing here today. If this channel is new to you, this is Golden Melanin Fashion. We talk about style, beauty, and self-expression for women over 50 with melanin-rich skin who are done shrinking in any sense of the word. Subscribe and come home. Mistake 1. The length you are carrying. The first mistake has nothing to do with what you put in your hair. It has to do with how much of it you are holding on to. Most women with fine, mature hair are carrying too much length. And I want to say this gently but clearly. Length on thinning hair is not preservation. It is weight. And weight, when your follicles have already miniaturized and your strands have narrowed, pulls the roots flat. It presses the crown down against the scalp. It widens the part line. And no volumizing spray made by anyone at any price point fixes what gravity is doing from the root all the way down. The solution is structural. When a stylist removes excess length and introduces the right kind of layers, not heavy texturizing at the perimeter, which thins the ends and makes everything look sparser, but soft interior layers that support natural movement and lift, the roots are finally free to do what they were meant to do. For women over 50 with fine or thinning hair, there are a few cuts that consistently deliver. The Italian bob sits between the jawline and the collarbone. It uses invisible interior layers that generate movement and bounce without reducing density. The result looks full, modern, and intentional, and it requires almost no daily effort to maintain. This cut in particular works exceptionally well for Black women transitioning into or maintaining natural silver and gray hair, because the shorter length showcases the texture of silver strands rather than hiding it. A clean, blunt bob at chin length preserves the most weight at the perimeter, making the hair appear stronger and healthier than it actually is. For women whose priority is density at the ends, this is your cut. For those willing to go shorter, a textured pixie or a bixie, which is a hybrid between a bob and a pixie, concentrates light, choppy layers at the crown, where lift is needed most. The edges around the hairline stay soft and feminine, and a pair of pearl drop earrings or delicate gold hoops immediately elevates the look, drawing the eye toward the face rather than away from it. Now, here is the thought I want to leave with you on this point. A great cut is not vanity. It is the decision to stop fighting your hair and start listening to it. The women who look like they have more hair than they did 5 years ago did not find a miracle product. They found the right pair of scissors. Mistake 2. When you introduce heat. The second mistake happens every single morning in the first 10 minutes after your shower, and it is one that almost no one talks about correctly. You may have heard that heat is the enemy of fine hair. That is only half the truth. The real problem is not heat, it is heat applied at the wrong moment. Wet hair is at its most fragile. The protein bonds that hold each strand together are stretched and vulnerable. When a blow dryer meets soaking wet hair, the rapid moisture loss cracks the cuticle and weakens the shaft from the inside out. Not just once, every single morning, compounding over time. That one habit alone explains more breakage than most women realize. Now, for women with melanin-rich skin and natural or transitioning hair, this is especially relevant. Gray and silver strands that have already lost their natural melanin protection are even more vulnerable to thermal stress. What feels like normal blow drying is significantly more damaging on silver hair than it ever was on your colored or pigmented strands. The correction is simple. Let your hair air dry until it is roughly 80% dry before you introduce any heat at all. This single shift dramatically reduces your total heat exposure while still giving you full control over your final shape. Once the hair is damp, apply a lightweight heat protectant, not a heavy cream, a mist, or a spray that coats without coating. Then finish drying on a low to medium heat setting, keeping the dryer at least 6 inches from the scalp and always moving. Lift the hair upward and outward from the roots with your fingers or a round brush as you go. This trains the hair to sit up rather than down. For volume that lasts beyond the first hour, a root iron is one of the most underused tools for mature hair. The technique is to clip the top layer out of the way, press the root iron at the base of the underlayers for 1 to 2 seconds, then release the top layer back over it. The underlayers now hold a hidden structural lift, a pocket of volume that the top layer simply rests on. The hair looks smooth and full at the same time, not crunchy, not teased, just naturally lifted. A soft hold volumizing spray at the root before you begin and a flexible hairspray while any movement is still warm sets the shape. A silk sleep bonnet protects it overnight. We will come back to that. Mistake 3. Where your part lives. This one costs nothing. It takes 30 seconds, and it may be the most immediately transformative change on this entire list. Look at where your part lives right now. If it is a straight line running directly down the center of your scalp, or if it falls in the exact same place it has fallen for the last decade or two, it is working against you quietly and consistently. A fixed part does not just flatten volume at the root, it trains the hair to lie flat in that direction permanently. Over time, it exposes a widening line of scalp that becomes harder and harder to conceal. And for women with melanin-rich skin, where scalp contrast against silver or gray hair is more visible, that exposed part line reads immediately. The first correction is a diagonal part. Starting at the front hairline near the bridge of your nose, draw a line backward with the end of a fine comb toward the opposite side of the crown. This shifts the hair asymmetrically. More volume moves to one side, the crown lifts, and sparse areas along the old part line are immediately covered. It also creates a clean, graphic edge that makes shorter pets look sharper and more intentional. The second option is the zigzag part. Using a fine-tipped tail comb, trace a soft zigzag motion from the front hairline back to the crown. Then gently pull alternating sections in opposite directions. The zigzag completely eliminates the visible part line, adds root lift along the entire path, and as a bonus, conceals new growth far more effectively than any straight part ever could. Neither of these requires a single product. No spray, no powder, no dry shampoo, just a comb and 2 minutes of intention. A pearl clip or a delicate gold pin softly anchoring the heavier side adds a finishing touch that is both functional and feminine. Try tortoiseshell for warmth. Try a simple metal pin for precision. The same hair, a different path. That is all it takes. Move the line, and everything above it follows. Mistake 4. What is in the bottle? The bottle in your shower might be the quietest problem in your entire routine. Not because it is doing nothing, but because it may be doing exactly the wrong thing to exactly the wrong kind of hair. After 50, fine and thinning hair is structurally different. The cuticle is tighter and more resistant. The protein bonds inside each strand have weakened over time. The scalp produces less oil. What this means in practical terms is that thick, heavy products, the ones designed to smooth, soften, and deeply condition, often cannot penetrate mature, fine hair at all. They sit on the outside of the shaft, they coat it, they weigh it down, and over time they clog the follicle, which is the last place on earth you want buildup when you are working to preserve every strand. Heavy silicone-like dimethicone, mineral oils, and rich conditioning masks are the main offenders. They feel luxurious in the hand and in the first 30 seconds after application, but on fine, aging hair, they are dead weight. The roots go flat by mid-morning, the ends look stringy, and the follicle, already miniaturizing, is now fighting through a layer of product residue to do its job. Sulfate-heavy shampoos strip the scalp of the natural oils it can barely produce anymore. For women with melanin-rich skin, whose hair tends toward dryness and needs careful moisture management, this is particularly damaging. Sodium lauryl sulfate and sodium laureth sulfate leave gray and silver strands dry, brittle, and prone to static. What works instead are lightweight active ingredients. Panthenol, which is vitamin B5, retains moisture inside the hair shaft without adding any weight at all. Hydrolyzed proteins, silk, collagen, quinoa, and pea protein, bond with the hair's natural keratin and fill in cracks in the cuticle. Tapioca starch and silica-based dry shampoos absorb scalp oil cleanly and build dry friction at the root, giving you mechanical lift that lasts through the day. For scalp health and long-term density, look for caffeine, biotin, and rosemary oil. Rosemary has been shown in research to block DHT, which is the hormone responsible for follicular miniaturization. Use a clarifying shampoo once a week to clear any buildup. Keep everything else light. Turn over the bottle you use most often. Look at the first 3 ingredients. If you see dimethicone, sodium lauryl sulfate, or mineral oil near the top, that is your answer. You do not need to spend more. You need to choose differently. That knowledge is the quiet luxury no product can sell you. Mistake 5. What happens while you sleep? There is an entire chapter of your hair's day that most routines completely ignore. The 8 hours you are not thinking about it at all. While you sleep, your scalp produces oil. Cotton pillowcases create friction against fragile strands. Hair that was styled carefully in the morning is compressed, flattened, tangled, and sometimes broken by the time morning comes around. And the instinct to fix it by wetting it, reheating it, and starting from scratch repeats the same damage cycle all over again. For Black women over 50, this nighttime chapter is not new information. We have known about protecting our hair at night for generations. Bonnets, wraps, and satin pillowcases have been part of our beauty culture long before the mainstream caught up. What this section adds is precision, because what you do at night for aging, thinning hair specifically matters differently than it did at 30. A silk pillowcase is one of the most research-supported changes you can make for fine, mature hair. Silk reduces friction as you move in your sleep, which means less breakage at the shaft, less frizz at the cuticle, and less volume loss at the root. A satin sleep bonnet provides the same benefit with even more full coverage. Here is the technique that professional stylists rely on for lasting volume. Apply dry shampoo to your roots before bed, not in the morning. A lightweight tapioca starch formula absorbs oil as it is produced overnight. By morning, the roots are already clean, lifted, and ready to style with almost no effort. This changes the entire morning routine. Wash every other day or rinse with water only on alternate days. Daily shampooing strips the scalp of the natural oils it can barely produce anymore, triggers reactive oil overproduction, and leaves the ends dry and brittle. During each wash, take 2 extra minutes to massage your scalp with your fingertips. Gentle circular motion along the crown, the temples, and the nape of the neck. This stimulates blood circulation to the follicles and supports healthy growth from the source. Targeted scalp treatments with rosemary oil, caffeine, or peptides applied 2 to 3 times a week create cumulative visible change in density over 30 to 60 days. It is not immediate, but it is real. The last thing you do before you sleep is the first thing your hair feels when you wake up. Treat it accordingly. Now you are sitting with 5 things, and the question is, where do you start? You do not have to change everything at once. In fact, you should not. One change done consistently will show you results that a full overhaul done halfway never will. Here's how to choose. If your hair is losing density and lying completely flat by mid-morning, regardless of what you do, your first conversation is with a stylist about a structural cut. The Italian bob, a clean blunt bob, or a textured Bixie will do more in one appointment than months of products ever could. Find a stylist who has experience with mature, natural hair, silver hair, or transitioning hair on women of color. That experience matters. If your hair has reasonable shape but collapses after an hour, the 80-20 drying method and a root iron are your most immediate tools. Start there. If your part line is wide or your crown is visibly thin, change the parting today, right now if you want. It costs nothing and works in seconds. If you are unsure about your products, turn over the bottle you use most and read the first 3 ingredients. If dimethicone, sodium lauryl sulfate, or mineral oil appear near the top, that is your answer. Replace one product at a time with something lighter and more targeted. And if you are doing everything reasonably well but not sleeping on silk or satin, start there tonight. One night, one change. See how your hair looks in the morning. Your hair is not betraying you. It is asking you to learn a new language. The women who carry their silver beautifully, the ones who stop you in a restaurant or make you look twice at church, they are not lucky. They stopped fighting their biology and started working with it. That shift is available to you. Not tomorrow, not after some version of yourself arrives. The next time you stand at the mirror with a comb in your hand. Silver hair on melanin-rich skin is one of the most striking combinations in the world. And I mean that without exaggeration. There is a depth to it, a warmth, a contrast that photographs with a richness that no filter can replicate and no younger woman can access because it belongs specifically to the woman who has lived long enough to earn it. The mainstream beauty industry spent decades pretending that silver and gray were problems to cover. They told us to dye it, hide it, minimize it. And some of us are still recovering from the belief that our natural hair at this stage of life is somehow less than, less professional, less beautiful, less worthy of effort and intention. I want to say something to that belief directly. It was always wrong. It was always a limitation of imagination on the part of an industry that confused youth with value. And the women walking in their silver right now, the ones who stopped fighting it and started styling it, they are the ones proving that every single day. You do not need more hair to look extraordinary. You need the right relationship with the hair you have. Learn the biology, choose the right cut, protect what you have grown, give your follicles what they actually need, and sleep on silk like the queen you are. This is golden melanin fashion. This is your space, and we will always be here talking about beauty, style, and what it means to show up fully in this season of life with your head held high and your silver catching the light exactly the way it should. If this gave you something real today, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment and tell me which of these 5 you are trying first. I read every single one. Share this with a woman who deserves to hear it. And subscribe to Golden Melanin Fashion so you never miss a conversation like this one. You already have everything you need. You always have.